Let's get into it. Let's go, guys. What's going on? It is episode 438 of the Soul Not For Sale podcast. Now, I'm a JRE connoisseur. The ones that throw me off the most, and probably you as well, is the MMA shows that Joe Rogan does. You think it's all going to be fighting. Might be like a little bit of a boring conversation if you're not into fighting yourself, but they always bring the conversation into some really interesting areas. This one's no different with Sean Strickland. If you don't know who Sean Strickland is, he is an MMA fighter who is super outspoken on his views of America, of his views of Biden. He does not hold back. He is completely unfiltered. You can tell he's a really genuine guy. His delivery is rough, to say the least, but you can tell that he comes from the heart and he's coming from a really good place in the stuff he has to say. So we're going to hear him talking about America, his views on it, and then I'm going to translate what he's talking about, so to speak. Let's get right into it. Before I do that though, you know where I have to take you. I got to take you to the store because it's July. It's the second Pride month. I would say the first Pride month in reality. Pride of your country. We got the Soul Not For Sale shirts, t-shirts, tank tops with the Soul Not For Sale America edition with the red, white, and blue atop of it. Now, if you want to get to that shirt, you go here. You go to America's Soul Not For Sale. You go down here and you check it out. We got t-shirts, tank tops for men and women, t-shirts for men and women, and we have hoodies as well. And all of that is at IamCoachColin.com. I want you to see it right there. The reason that I'm showing you that, IamCoachColin.com, is because if you want to receive 10% off of your purchase, you put in the discount code area, IamCoachColin. All right? Just put that in. It'll get you 10% off. Now, the way you do that is it's all one word. It's all capital letters, and there's one L in the Colin. Remember that, okay? And that'll get you 10% off. If you've gotten anything out of this site before, thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's get into the actual clip. Let's go.
Go back to like my roots of being just a white trash motherfucker. That's nice, man. I've really accepted who I am, you know?
Well, it's so interesting to watch people go through these changes in life, in these trials through adversity, and become like a very interesting person at the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I know you say a lot of outrageous shit and it's very funny, but you also say some very good shit. You know, like this speech that you gave when you're talking about America, like that speech, the post-fight press conference speech. It's a fucking great speech.
Well, you know what it is, man? I'm white trash. Like what I mean by that is like I am the future of America. So like both my parents worked. You know, my dad's a piece of shit, but you know, fucking in hell probably right now. But both my parents worked. They made good money, but we were poor. We were poor because after the cigarettes, the bars, and the fast food, we're fucking poor. I mean, like, you know, we had like fucking, I can't tell you, you'd find a piece of paper and you wrinkled up, you use that as fucking toilet paper. You know, every time I wipe my ass with a piece of fucking paper you laying around. But this is like, it's like this unholy alliance that corporations are doing to America. They want women working, they want lower wages, and they want more consumerism. And it's like, I don't mean it like, I'm not sexist, like, oh, put women back in the kitchen, you know, they suck. And I love fucking women, you know, take off the burqa, wear a fucking bikini, and huzzah. but you know what I'm saying? But we're truly like in a weird time to where like corporations are eroding values of America.
Well, they act within their best interests. And their best interest is to keep people consumers and make sure that people just pay attention only to stupid shit.
You have Walmart in your phone now. You want to go. I mean, I can't even me. I'm to blame. There's some times, you guys, where I'm like, maybe I'm a little depressed. I don't know. I'm fucking just in a bad mood. I'm like, I'm gonna go on Amazon. Let's see what the fucking Amazon fairy is recommending me today. Maybe I could find something that'll give me a little serotonin boost.
Find some happiness in a one click.
Yeah, and then so it's like you have like, and then on top of that, now we go full circle. You have two parents working, and I'm going mostly on the West Coast. You have shitty fucking kids, dude. Las Vegas graduation rates less than 50%. High school dropout, no GED. I'm not one to talk. But how do you raise a family, a successful family, when your kids are being raised by the system?
Right.
By fucking TikTok. After my fight, I had the doctor, you know, good guy, the doctor UFC. He comes up to me, he's like, hey, why are you talking bad about Las Vegas? I'm like, well, Dr. John, or your name is Doctor, he's a cool dude. What school do your kids go to? And he just like gets a big like smirk. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you're paying like 50 plus a year to educate your kids. Like, so again, man, I mean, where's the reset button? Maybe there is no reset button.
I think the reset button is teaching people that there's things that you can do in life that can transform you. And I think, as weird as that sounds, a lot of people learn that through watching people like you evolve through fighting, because it's the most difficult thing you do outside of war and being a cop and being a fireman. It's the most difficult physical pursuit that a person can get involved with for a living.
But again, we're talking on such a deeper fundamental level. If you have no belief, like we could say America's becoming atheist. Like we could say that. If you have no belief, if you have no moral right, no wrong,
right,
and you're not taught this from like a stable family and you're being raised, I mean, like literally America's becoming like communist China, where like we're letting our school system dictate values and beliefs. We're letting the system tell you what your kids are. And again, I'm agnostic, so I'm not telling everybody to go find Jesus, you know. If you're going to find somebody, at least let it be fucking Jesus, right? But I mean, how do you fix a moral decay of a society when that's just where we're going? You got TikTok, man. Even fucking communist China will mitigate what shows on TikTok, but they give us utter fucking filth.
But it's just I know exactly what you're saying, and I went through the public school system, but I did it in the 1980s. It was very different.
Even worse.
Yeah, it's a lot worse now.
But I mean, how do you if you were God Joe Rogan, how do you fix this?
You gotta pump a lot of money into inner cities. You gotta figure out a way to make programs. And there's places in this country that for decades and decades have been filled with crime and gang violence and drug addiction, and that's all they know. And that's the standard of their community, and that's what you grow up with, and that's what you see. And if we don't fix that, the odds of those people coming out of there, I mean, there's a few that come out of there that become, whether they're artists or athletes or whatever it is, they find a way through. They figure it out, but they're the rare ones.
Okay.
They're the rare ones. What we got to do is create systems where you have opportunity for kids, and also mitigate the crime and mitigate the violence and whatever the fuck has to be done. Look, if they can dump billions of dollars into Ukraine,
fucking A.
If they could dump billions of dollars into, I mean, there's so many different things that they pump money into, but they've never pumped any money into Baltimore. They never pumped any money into Detroit. Like, try to figure out a way. Like, if you can, like, think about like what Halliburton did during the Iraq War. They got these no-bid contracts where Cheney was the fucking CEO of Halliburton. He becomes the vice president of the United States, and then the company he worked for gets these no-bid contracts to rebuild shit we blow up. Which is wild, but there's profit in that, right? 100%. So what about figuring out a way to funnel that profit into fixing inner cities?
Yeah.
If we have less losers, we have a better America. Yeah. And if you give people more opportunity, you have less losers.
Man, yep. Now, this conversation goes on. I mean, Strickland, he talks about fighting. He touches on fighting. I mean, I'm not fully through the podcast, but he has a lot to say when it comes to how he feels about America and what he wants to see happen. And basically what he's talking about in this clip is the attack on the nuclear family. If you don't know what a nuclear family is, that's where a child is raised by, husband and wife, mother and father, and that's it. That's the nuclear family, and that's been under attack for so long. There's people, whether they're a part of that whole pushing Agenda 2030 or they're just super liberal, they look at the nuclear family as something that's outdated. It's really not. And it's really essential. It really helps kids. It really helps men. A husband needs his wife and his child just as much as the mother needs, her husband and her child. It's so necessary. It's almost like a holy trinity of sorts. Like it's so necessary, and there has been a complete attack on it. Exactly what he's saying. You take the men away and the men have to work, right? And before, at one point, you were able to just have one man working, and that supported the entire family. You could have 4, 5 kids even, and that one man's salary was enough to provide for everybody. Provide in the sense of like get a new car, get a bigger house, pay your mortgage, no problem. Send the kids to school, no problem. Didn't have to inquire into any kind of student loans or anything like that. That was the case for a really long time. And the next thing you know, they wanted to pull women out into the workforce. Not because not because there was like a pull to do it, but it was just financial strains. You needed both parents to work. But then what happens to that child when both parents are working? I'm sure a lot of you have been through it. You become this latchkey kid. You become this kid who can just leave the house and roam around. And most importantly, you're not getting reared properly. You're not getting raised properly. Because now the mother's missing. The nurturing, the structure, the taking care of, the love, that gets minused a little bit. And trust, like I know You know, you can always come home from work and you can do it properly and you got weekends. You can still raise a good kid, 100%. But it was way easier when at least one of the parents were home. You know? So now when you take away the woman from the house, the man's gone from the house, well, the child has no choice. Exactly what Sean said. They're now looking at TikTok. They're now looking at their phone and they're being raised by what's on their phone. For a lot of kids, that's Cardi B, that's all sorts of wild, disgusting imagery via hip hop and pop music. Some of it looks satanic. Some of it is satanic. Why am I even saying look? Some of it is satanic, right? It's wild. It's debauchery. It's nudity. It's complete lack of integrity. Not even lack. There's no integrity. There's no integrity. Everything's about money. Everything's about, you know, just do whatever you can as long as you can get the bag, you know? And that's what the kids get into their heads constantly in these little bites, whether it's Instagram or TikTok. They just get 5 seconds of somebody just showing their ass. You're just like, okay, all right. And then you just see that over and over and over again. You're a young girl and you're like, well, this is how women act. You know, you see guys holding up money, doing a bunch of dumb stuff, hitting each other, smacking each other. And then all of a sudden, you're a young guy, you're a young boy, and you're like, this is how men act. And you just keep getting that on loop. And he even said something that was very, very astute. China will even make sure that what they show on TikTok is pushing young people towards higher achievement. Meanwhile, in America, all you see is complete nonsense. So even they know, even a country that you could look down to and say, well, they're communists, they don't operate properly, they don't treat their people properly, even they know to show their people imagery of higher achievement all the time in those same little sound bites, because they know those phones will end up raising the kids. It's a vicious thing that's going on, I have to say. The whole attack on the nuclear family, it's a very vicious thing. You know, I was so happy, you know, when I found out my wife, you know, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. That's actually what she wants. And I want to be a provider. But on top of being a provider, I want to be somebody who has my own businesses, so I can be a more present father. I can be at home. I can be around for those like cornerstone times of breakfast and coming home, you know, before they go to bed, and dinner time and eating together, and both of us being very present. You know, I'm so happy that she wants that. And I'm sure she's happy that I want to do that as well. And it's not possible for a lot of people. I mean, it's even hard for us right now. I mean, right now it's a hope and a dream and we're just pushing towards it. But how many people just can't have that at all? You know, what happens to their kids? Who's raising your kids? You know, it looks like we're getting pushed to a point where the state wants the kids in their control. It feels like that sometimes, you know? And it's hard because you can't exactly say it's not they's fault that, you know, the job that you have doesn't make enough money and that your wife has to work, you know, and you're both away from home. You can't blame that on anybody. I mean, it's just circumstance, right? I don't know. Is it? Anyway, like the video and check out this podcast. I'm telling you, Sean Strickland, even just check him out. Just check out clips of him. He has all sorts of rants. Of course, they're very vulgar. They're very belligerent. But, you know, like I said before, he's coming from a good place. Like the video. It helps boost us out of the shadow realm. You have no idea how much it helps us. Help spread the message. Help spread the truth. Just, yeah. Other than that, and let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments how you grew up. Did you grow up with both parents there? Did you have that type of upbringing? You know? Did you see people who had the single parent family? Like, I know I had that. And I know my mom at one point worked 2 jobs. There was no real raising. She would just make sure we had food, make sure we went to school, and that was it. The rest of the time, it was just worrying about the rent and the bills. And it's like, what can you do? And I saw that all over my neighborhood. So many people grew up like that. I don't know. And I look at someone like my wife. She had both parents around. And she was very, everybody has their issues. Every parent isn't perfect. But she came out with a lot of values. She came up with this value of like, parents sitting with kids and having conversation at dinner. She came up with this value of, things that her dad taught her, things that her mom taught her. They were around enough that they could teach things. And her and all her siblings ended up growing up with a lot of integrity, a lot of value, a lot of smarts. And it all paid off to this day. So let me know in the comments what you think. And other than that, I am out.